Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Medhavi Prabhu and mothers and other Prabhus, please accept my obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada. So we'll begin today our second session on chapter 15. Can you hear me all? Am I audible? Okay.
Yes, we can hear.
Okay. So we are going to do little Puspanjali, offering some flower to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Parampara, so we can get some mercy from them to realize the rest of the 15th chapter. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyenanjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Tapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jutapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanitam Tam Sajivam Adaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanitam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschatadeshatarine Vancha Kalpa Taruvesya Kripa Sindhupayevacha Patitanam Pavanebho Vaishnavebho Namo Namo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama. So today we need to finish the rest of the chapter to read. Maybe somebody can be volunteer and ready to go. Okay, Mother Anastasia, you would like to read? That's good. Just to, okay, go ahead. And then we'll stop at a certain page. And then we'll discuss a little more.
Are we on page 62?
How many pages total on this chapter?
76. Oh, sorry. I mean, I don't know how many total. But
okay.
I think we stopped 662 last time. Anybody remember?
So right now we are page 62 and the last page is 72, you say?
76.
76. Okay. Keep going.
I think we're at page 62. I'm not 100% sure. But, in the state when there is an intense longing for the unnatural prema, the premi bhaktas are exclusively devoted to Krishna. Utter self-surrender marks them out. The Srimad Bhagavatam and the Gita have very highly eulogized such refugees. If a devotee doesn't take absolute shelter under the cool shade of the gracious feet of Krishna, why speak of prema? He remains quiet in the dark even about bhava. A self-surrendering devotee should only accept things that are favorable to prema bhakti, and should deny everything, whatever it may be, that is antagonistic or unfavorable to it. Such a devotee believes that Krishna is the only protector, that nothing else or no one else but Krishna can save or protect him. He has not at the least doubt that Krishna alone protects all. Devotees firmly and sincerely believe themselves to be very humble and insignificant. The faith of an earnest and exclusive devotee is that he himself can do nothing, that not even a straw moves without the will of Krishna. Extremely self-surrendered devotees prefer to most exclusively embrace Harinama to every other feature of devotion. They have a more intense appetite for singing and meditating upon the holy name than for anything else. Of all the means of bhajan, the name of Bhagavan is most purely spiritual. In describing the absolute duties, the Sri Hari Bhakti Vilas has spoken of the glories of chanting and contemplating the holy name as the best. It has been given the foremost place. The Shastras declare that there is not the least difference between Krishna and Krishna's name, because the real nature of his name is spiritual. The holy name manifests himself as the Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha of Krishna. Those who desire to realize the form of Krishna and the form of the holy name must try to realize their own Chitsvarupa. The practicer of bhakti can never be dexterous in his adoration of God so long as he doesn't realize spiritual truth. So how can he attain his object of pursuit? The attainment of an absolute conception of spiritual truth causes the amelioration of bhajan. Here we shall say something on this subject. Many a time we have pointed out in the Chaitanya Shikshamrita with quotations from the Shastras that every jiva is a spiritual molecule, that the residence of Krishna is a spiritual kingdom, that Krishna is the spiritual sun, that devotion to Krishna is a spiritual inclination, and that Krishna's name is Chitrasa Vigraha. Now we venture to show the relation between spirit and those devotees who are extremely anxious for prema, and then we shall show the means to the attainment of the highest bliss of the soul. If we have spiritual merit earned in previous births, transcendental felicity will be enkindled in our heart. We have no appetite, ruchi, for the knowledge of Brahman, which is restricted to realization of mere chit only, for spiritual sportive pastimes have no place in it. The savior of the Iron Age, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, declares the Vedas to be the only judge and reveals their 9 prameya subject matters. There is a broad discussion on it in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Vedas have proved jivas to be spiritual atomic parts of the deity. Jivas are like rays from the sun, Krishna. So the spiritual form of the jivas must be identified with the spiritual form of Godhead. But the difference lies in the fact that Krishna may be compared with the full sun, while the jivas are his innumerable rays. Krishna is Lord of Lords. The jivas are his eternal servants. There is no denying the fact that the residential home of Krishna is in the Paravyoma or Goloka, which is all spiritual. Vaikuntha, Chid, Jagat, etc., all refer to that spiritual region. The Vajrasaniya Upanishad speaks to the form of Krishna to be purely spiritual. The Shvetasvatara Upanishad describes the eternal powers of Krishna, who is superior to the best and higher than the highest. The Mundaka Upanishad shows bhakti to the Chit Rasa and coming to conceive Krishna to be the life of lives. The wise, after discarding all garrulity, dry wisdom, and vain arguments, dive deep to see the bottom of their soul. They, after realizing the deity by dint of pure intuition, run after devotion. He who does this is a Brahmanan, a Vaishnava devotee of Krishna. Such has been shown to be the nature of bhakti or devotion. As the Chandogya Upanishad states, O Maitreya, the soul alone is to be seen, heard, reflected, meditated upon, and realized by spiritual organs. All is then known to us beyond any doubt. That soul, Krishna, is dearer than one's son, dearer than wealth, for he is omniscient. Things that are sense-pleasing are never worth endearment. From the pleasure of the great soul, all joy proceeds. Thus, the eternal relation of happiness between Krishna and the Jiva is Prema. What exact connection does there exist between this manifested and visible mundane world and the spiritual sphere? In going to search after spiritual truths, more often than not, we are deluded. After deep contemplation and discrimination, we conclude spirit to be something opposite to matter. Pressing out worldly reasoning too far, we leave chit rasa to the background and are satisfied with an imaginative, inarticulate, and incomplete conception of spiritual Brahman. This is only an imagination of the Chit Svarupa of Brahman. In such a stage, Brahman is immutable, incorporeal, invisible, or formless, without attributes and dry of Brahman. This uncommon perception is like the sky flower, and being unable to know the name, form, attributes, and pastimes or diversions of that Chitsvarupa, we turn to being inactive. Hence, it is that all portents of jivas come to pass due to this dry wisdom. This is well illustrated in the conversation between Vyasa and Narada. It is clear from the above that you never can know the spiritual sportive pastimes of Parabrahma if you are dazzled by the mere Chitsvarupa of Brahman, which is only a semblance of the eternal light of Chit. Brother, look ahead, enter into the kingdom of Godhead after dashing through the brilliance of pure and simple Chit. There you will be able to realize the spiritual pastimes of Godhead. Then you will be able to taste the ambrosia of an incessant Brahma rasa. No longer will your soul remain wooden-like. The name, form, attributes, and lila of the Supreme Being are manifested not by any earthly light, but by a spiritual flame. The sun, moon, stars, lightning, and fire of this earth are quite unfit to give life to that other spiritual horizon. This spiritual light, which is far beyond worldly lights, brightens that region. It is only a perverted reflection of that light that we think supplies us with light, but in fact, it does not. While describing Brahma Pura, the region of Brahman, the Chandogya Upanishad gives us a comprehensive knowledge of it. The spiritual kingdom, as displayed by the spiritual light, is an ideal to this base earth. There is not the least tinge of baseness, while on the contrary, only an all-pervading daintiness in its sweet affair. The 14 mundane worlds are only a perverted reflection of that sphere. The gross sun is a reflection of that light, and its subtle reflection is seen in the mundane rays of dry wisdom arising from mind, conscious, and consciousness. Our gross senses believe the gross sun to be a flash of luster, and we are proud of the earthly knowledge which is gained by dint of the 8 processes of yoga that are actions of the subtle intellect, conscious, and ego. All their seemingly natural workings of engrossed jivas. Listening to the advice of Narada, while Vaipayana Rishi Vyasa was completely absorbed in the single and natural deep meditation of the soul, he fully and clearly saw the name, form, attributes, and pastimes of the Supreme Person. He also saw Maya, the shadow of Param Shakti, as having no other shelter than the absolute truth, and understood the anarthas of jivas, the atomic chittattvas, who are engrossed, fascinated, and enslaved by Maya. Further realizing that such jivas can come to perceive their own personal forms if absorbed in a profoundly meditative bhakti yoga, he compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes the spiritual pastimes of Bhagavan. The forgetfulness of his own eternal form and the form of Krishna is the foremost anartha of a jiva. Hence arises his aversion to Krishna, as a result of which he is revolved by the wheel of Maya on the path of karma. Thus the world is full of wheel and woes. When jivas take shelter under bhakti, after discarding the basely turned endeavors of the mundane wise reasoning of the 8 processes of yoga, of the karma margis, followers of karma or fruitive acts, and of the arguments of the Sankhya school, of the Jnana margis, seekers of dry wisdom, which vainly try to refute things that are not God or his concerns, then only are the pure rays of spiritual intuition enkindled in them by being naturally absorbed in divine contemplation. The worldly pleasures then prick them like piercing thorns, and Krishna Prema is awakened in their heart. By this means only can they be blessed by the grace of Krishna, the spiritual sun. This divine grace is the only means for washing away all stain from the mind and for progressing forward towards the ever-shining land of Krishna. A sincere faith in pure devotion is the root cause of this unlabored restraint of the senses together with the mind and confinement of the soul in a deep contemplation of Godhead. When the happy moment came, Dvaipayana Rishi became doubtful about the rules and methods of Karma Kanda and Tvaying Jnana Kanda. In reply to the question of his spiritual preceptor, Sri Narada Goswami, he said, "O Lord, no doubt I have realized all the truths you advised. Still my soul, I know not why, finds no contentment. O son of Brahma, be kind to tell me the unimaginable and indescribable secret that lurks behind it. I beg this of you, being greatly troubled at heart." Then Narada Goswami replied, "O Vyasa, you have not striven to give us a vivid picture of the pure spiritual pastimes of Bhagavan, as you have in the Vedanta Sutras and Mahabharata of the 4 main objects of human pursuit: virtue,
One
wealth."
second.
Sure.
Yeah, you can finish the 4 object of human pursuit. What are those names?
Virtue, wealth, enjoyment, and salvation.
Hold on to there. Anyone remembers where the infection of impersonalism, or how infection of impersonalism entered in our consciousness when? If you don't know, then you cannot cure it. You have to be you remember in the beginning I mentioned, you have to identify the enemy in order to kill the enemy. If you cannot identify the disease, you can never find the medicine for it. Because impersonalism, she was reading very nicely. Most of it was impersonal Brahman conception, and it is a big amount. I find 30% of Srila Prabhupada's lecture is filled against this conception. 30%, this is just my assumption. So much Prabhupada spoke against smashing this impersonalism. Why? Because it entered in our consciousness. And if you are not even aware, then how are you going to take it out? But the doubt will remain that where did it start? Where did it start? How did it enter in our... You ever notice you go to temple, how long you can actually look at the deity? Be honest. Can somebody tell me if you're looking at the deity more than 10 minutes, like a full attention? Can you raise your hand so I can see and touch your lotus feet? If you are looking at the deity for 10 minutes straight and you are really in love, but very good, Mother Kara. Wow. And the Sonali, Mother Sonali also. I pay obeisances to your lotus feet. That's wonderful. This is, Srila Prabhupada says that in the purport of Bhagavatam, that when we go to the deity, we look at the deity, the test will be there after you come out of the deity. If you can explain the details about the deity, what you saw, and how you are absorbed in what. Now, when you look at the deity, Mother Kara, what do you see?
Well, Prabhu, it really determines, it's determined, I find, based upon like how good my sadhana is. So if my sadhana is very nice, then the experience is very exalted. You know, it's I can sit there and chant in front of the deity in this dancing of the name on the tongue. It's like I can almost see white light coming from my mouth if my sadhana is very good. And like this, and it's just this. And then sometimes, you know, if my sadhana hasn't been so good, then maybe it is a little different. It is, you know, it's more of like a mood of separation. Like this, it's very nice. I enjoy it so much.
That's,
you know,
wonderful. That's wonderful. When you look at the deity, your conception about the chapter 1 Harinam Chintamani, chapter 1 gives the glorification of the Bhagavan and his energy. If those things are not reflecting while you are looking at the deity, you are not really connecting to the Supreme Absolute. It will be namavas, you will feel good, but eventually you will be liberated also, but you will not experience love of Godhead. There are 9 symptoms. Friday, I'll give you the symptoms that you're supposed to experience. Now, this description here, these are very nice, very wonderful, and I hope you grasp it. I would also request each of you, you cannot get rid of, okay, first question is, when did you get infected with the impersonalism? The moment you exhibited apathy towards devotional service. When, which life, that you have to ask yourself with Krishna. I don't know. I'm not a super soul. I don't keep track. I cannot even keep track on my own. I don't even remember when I actually displayed my apathy to bhakti. So some life, obviously, we did that. The moment we misuse free will and the impersonalism infected us. The biggest disease in this world is not a heart attack or COVID. It is the loneliness, depression. These are only byproduct of that impersonalism. Although Krishna is sitting in our heart, Krishna is sitting in our heart. There is no way you can feel impersonalism. Can you see my hand? Like this palm and this palm, if they go on opposite direction, how many million miles they can go to meet each other? Can somebody answer?
Very little.
Very little. How little?
They will never meet each
They will
other.
never meet.
Very good answer. They will never meet. We are sitting in the heart with the Lord, opposite direction.
Okay.
Krishna boli sheiji bhirmukh. Bhirmukh means opposite direction. Even though Krishna is with us, but we are sitting facing opposite to Krishna. We'll never meet Krishna. And the purpose of Krishna consciousness is, by the help of the devotee and guru, turning your face towards him. Then journey is over. But it's easy logic. We can say, well, just turn your face towards Krishna. But who are you? Are you the body that turning the face to Krishna? You are a conscious being. So as a conscious unit of consciousness, that unit of consciousness has to turn face towards Krishna. This is very important. So far, what page are you, Mother Anastasia?
Page 66.
Oh, okay. So we want to read more, but what we covered so far, just to keep it little in our fresh, so where we are heading. What is Nama Parad? What is Nama Bas? What is Suddhanam? Three main subjects. Broadly, three ways in which we can understand various stages in chanting. And I consider you can think like Suddhanam is like a manifestation. Second is experience. Third is a potency of the holy name. So if we think in that three level, let's see, at one level, Krishna is non-different from his holy name. We heard this, I'm sure, with this Harinama Chintamani at least 10 times, 100, I don't know, I didn't keep track, but at least dozens of times. So at one level, Krishna is non-different from his holy name. It says, Namna Makari Bahuda Nija Sarva Saktis. Shikshastakam verse 2. Meaning his potency is fully present in his holy names. At the same time, Krishna is also reciprocal. He is not static. We were just discussing, what is today? Today is Wednesday. Last Saturday, no, actually, couple days back, that Tapan Mishra, one of the associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was a scholar from Sylhet, Bangladesh. So he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I want really you to think, can you put yourself with Tapan Mishra? He knew the philosophy very well, but he had a doubts and he is confused. He did not know what is goal of life and how to achieve it. Yet he knew the philosophy very well. Why he could not see it? So the moment he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him, did you share this knowledge that you have? He says, no. He said, is bhakti dynamic or static? What do you think the answer?
Bhakti is dynamic.
Dynamic. Always we have to remember, bhakti is dynamic, is not something you can just hold on to in your lockup box, safe deposit box, or whatever you have some safety box or safe deposit box. No, bhakti is not like this. Bhakti is a dynamic. That means bhakti has to flow. In order for your consciousness to purify, bhakti has to flow. You cannot just hold on to it within you. You have to share in order to flow. You don't have a choice. You can talk to your own mind, talk to your friend, your family, husband, wife, whoever they are, your neighbor, anybody. And Tapan Mishra was surprised. As Mahaprabhu stated him and he started, he was fully satisfied. Of course, then he helped Mahaprabhu in Benares. So the idea is that we have to, whatever we are learning, we have to share it. And if we keep it with you, after 2 weeks, if I call you, you'll say, oh, I'm chanting, but I forgot what we talked about. How many of you know the Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Saranam Braja, that verse? I'm sure all of you. Is that verse in Bhagavad Gita or is in your heart? Where?
heart.
In your heart. So it's not in the Bhagavad Gita.
It's always in my heart. Prabhu.
It's always in your heart. Wow. It's also in my heart. You cannot claim only yourself because Prabhu, I also remember that verse.
So we have individual heart, Prabhu. We all are connected in one heart.
Oh, so what about the Bhagavad Gita? The verse is not in Gita.
So my understanding is, Prabhu, that anything which is written there in the book, right? It is not outside us. It is always inside.
Very good. Good understanding. It is dynamic means it has to transfer automatically. It has to transfer our consciousness. You have to constantly repeat. You have to chant constantly. You have to recite those verses. All this 15 chapter, every day you have to say today, all the way 15 days, I'm going to remember this each chapter each day while I'm chanting and remembering this, what was the discussion. After 15 days, you begin again until everything goes in your heart. Then you will be chanting pure name. It is not possible. Harinam, Chintamani gives it guaranteed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Haridas Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But we have to act the way they want us to act. So back to this point, although Krishna is always omnipotent, we discussed that holy name is, or bhakti, is not static, it is dynamic. Static means also void. But it's actually a person. Holy name is a person who reciprocates according to our devotion. Although Krishna is always omnipotent, we need to recognize that whatever is manifested to us is essentially based not just on Krishna's potency, but also on our receptivity. Can you imagine an analog fan may have access to 100% power, but the speed at which it rotates depends on the positive progression in turning the switch. You experienced that. I'm sure you have a fan somewhere, or you had a fan. Similarly, more the switch is progressively turned in the right direction, clockwise, more energy from the fan can be experienced, isn't? I hope it's not everybody has a air conditioner now, automatic, no fan. You know what I'm talking? There is a switch. Similarly, those who are atheist or envious towards Krishna, they cannot perceive him at all. However, for those who are focused on reciprocating with Krishna, his powers becomes manifest to them depending on their receptivity. This is the key point. This principle of reciprocity can be applied to analyze the power of the holy names. Rupa Goswami Pad says, I'm sure you all know that verse, Seva unmukhi hi jibbado swayam eva spurati adha. This is from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.234. This means to the extent we turn towards Krishna with service attitude. Remember two things I mentioned, service attitude and giving yourself. Surrender constituted in that way. To the extent we experience his potency. So what is pure name? Give an example we learned here. Shuddha Nam, pure name is like a tuner of the fan being fully on the, or maybe she just read about sun which is completely risen in the sky, completely visible, risen. And Namabhas is like a rising, not risen yet, but it's just rising slowly. And the sun, although not visible to us, but it is present And its effect is visible to us because we can see the horizon illuminated through the red glow spreading across the sky. What is Namaparad then? Namaparad is like pre-rising. I hope all of you look at the sun when it rises. I'm sure sometime in your life you looked at it before the sun rises. Do you remember? It's like a not visible anything around, but you have an idea that some light is there but not visible yet. You cannot see if there is a snake on the road. You cannot see if the thief is still trying to get in your house. Well, I don't think you think like that, but I do. Thieves are like unearthers. They try to steal your heart or from your house. So what does aparad, offense, basically mean? That which takes us away from Radha or the divine energy, which is completely devoted to Krishna, is called aparad. I'm sure you heard this. You should remember always. To the extent our consciousness is directed elsewhere, to that extent, we cannot relish the sweetness of Krishna Bhakti. So if you cannot experience, I don't know, I never saw that brahmachari was in the beginning of the class, he said he didn't experience. The question has to be asked to himself, not to the teacher or the audience or another devotee, why I'm not experiencing. Question should be asked, self-exam. You have to check your heart. Heart, I mean the consciousness, not the physical heart. Sun is always effulgent, but whether we see it or not depends on time, our location on earth, isn't? Even if sun is rise right now, which is correct, I also have a blind. Aruna Nayana Prabhu. If the blind is closed and sun is up fully, and if I am talking with you that is sun up, you said yes. I said no, I do not see the sun. Is it the fault of the sun or is it the fault of who? I don't like to blame myself.
The blind.
The blind, but I don't like to blame myself. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm always right. So what will be your answer? Be honest if you are a really good friend.
Then you have to take off the blind and go and see.
Oh, so you want me to do something. See, this is perfect. Thank you. Everybody understanding my point. It is not actually that the Krishna is not merciful, Krishna is not there. Everything is there. Holy name is Krishna. The person who has access has to have a way to think how to have an access of the holy name. The correction is here within. So similarly, Krishna will manifest to us depending on where the switch of our consciousness is and how receptive we are. Please remember that. Namaparad stage can be perceived as having a gun. This is one of the Acharya gave a one-time example. I remember many years back I did. With no bullets. When in my village, I also went there for a shooting practice when I was in high school. And they give you 40 marks if you hit in the bottom. Now, other day I discussed only one myth, that spiritual growth. I hope some of you remember, at least maybe all of you remember. One of the myths I explained that spiritual growth is not automatic. It is intentional. I'm sure you remember, right? And I give you an example in America, TV series for the children. They have a Charlie Brown's movie. And I remember I saw it because with my small kids, long time back, 25 years back, 20 years back, I saw it. And Charlie Brown, he used to shoot the arrow and he put a little circle around where the spot of arrow. And his girlfriend Lucy asked, "What are you doing?" He said, "I want to make sure every arrow hits the target." Now, is it okay? Anybody understood my point? Is it okay what is going on there?
Frozen. You froze up, Prabhu. We missed it.
Oh, is it okay what Charlie is doing just to make sure he's hitting the target? Is this correct or no?
Not okay, Prabhu. Wherever he is hitting, he is considering that his target has been met.
Thank you. Believe or not, majority devotee, we should not criticize, we should not judge. We think like this. It's automatic. We think we'll just chant, just utter some name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Krishna is there. Really? How? Who is Krishna? If we are not consciously, we are not intentionally inviting him, it will be like a circle around the arrow. Or you can shoot a gun without bullet. It still makes a sound though. I don't know if you ever tried without bullet. You pull the trigger, it still makes a sound. But there will be what? What is the problem of shooting a gun without bullet? There's no effect.
Yes.
You can keep on shooting whole day, but there won't be any effect. That is the point. This is a very true. Suppose a person is being chased by thugs and eventually they confront him. At this point, if the person points an empty gun at them, this has happened actually, that's why I'm saying, then just by this act, some of the thugs may run away. Pointing an unloaded gun is not completely useless. I'm trying to not discourage them. It does help us scare away the intruders. Namabha stage is like a gun with limited number of bullets, which needs to be loaded every time before shooting. Shuddha Naam, pure name, stage is like an automatic gun. I'm not encouraging anybody to go to the gun shop to understand this. I'm sure you all understand that. You don't need to go to experience this. I never did that either, but I'm fully aware of what's happened with the gun. So pure name stage is like an automatic gun with a huge amount of ammunition, which can keep firing. Namaparad means chanting at offensive stage. Namaparad is chanting at clearing stage, Namabhas, and Suddhanam is chanting at pure stage. So as we progress in our chanting, we will experience the potency of the holy names. At present, even while chanting at the offensive stage, we may gradually experience some peace, some purity, some presence of Krishna even. We may experience, calmness of mind. You're not disturbed anymore. Decrease in the impact of lust. You don't fall for it. It doesn't succumb to you. Even anger, you don't get angry easily because you are chanting every day. You're not so greedy about sense enjoyment. This is all an experience of the potency of Krishna, even if it is not in a full experience. So what I'm trying to say here, that we want to access the full power of holy name.
Prabhu, it froze. Is it only for me or everybody?
Oh,
Prabhu,
I
Okay.
am I okay now? Am I okay?
I think it's my internet problem, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu, I'm seeing it properly.
Okay, I think it's my internet problem. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, Prabhu.
So I just to conclude that we want to access full power of the holy name, but we need not be discouraged thinking that we are not able to access the power of the holy names right now. Even with little power of the holy name that we are accessing, we can see significant transformation in our life. Such experience should inspire us to keep moving forward progressively in our spiritual path. I'm not trying to brag around, but I tell you something. There was a day in my life, if you tell me fly to India tomorrow, you'll get $10,000. I would jump in the airplane today. But if you say today that give up chanting, I'll give you $10 million. I say, thank you, goodbye. I don't need. So there is some attachment. I'm being honest to you. I'm sure you all have that experience. So we see that holy name is impacting and affecting. So that's why my point was that you need to access full power of the holy name. That's the whole goal of Harinam Chintamani study. Okay, Mother Anastasia, where you stop, Mother Kara, can you read some?
Sure.
And then Mother Shreya Kari, Devidasi also can read.
Okay. Can I start now?
Yes.
Go, Mother. Yes.
Thank you. It is due to these shortcomings of yours that you enjoy no contentment. Therefore, you have committed a great and heavy omission by giving too high an eulogy of castes and stages as a religion of the soul. If anyone, leaving aside such a conventional religion of the self, engages himself in the service of Hari, but slips before reaching the goal, he suffers no loss to speak of. On the contrary, if he strictly sticks to the conventional religion, being utterly unmindful of Hari Bhajana, what worthy and exalted goal can he attain thereby? It is clear from the above that there is no second help but Hari Bhajana. A jiva can attain the highest goal if he embraces the holy name as the means to Hari. Vasudeva would then follow up with his bhakti yoga by observing himself in an easy.
Mother is Vyasdev.
Vyasdev. Oh, sorry.
Just
Yeah.
hold on 1 second, Mother.
Yes.
Everybody understanding? I'm sorry I didn't address at all. Just in one sentence to make it clear understanding. Mahabharata. If you take 3 things out of Mahabharata, then Mahabharata will become like a Bollywood or Hollywood, whatever you are aware. If you take Narayan Stotram, Vishnu Sahasranam, and Bhagavad Gita out of Mahabharata, Mahabharata will become like a Bollywood. So Vyasdev did give the essence, but he blended in such a way, he did not magnify or illuminated those main points. As a result, people fall for Mahabharata and Ramayana to get those, at least from Mahabharata, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. I'll do worship God. When my daughter get a good husband, when my son get a good job and good car, with all of them together, I'll serve God. Until that, I cannot. I'm not saying that anybody of you did that, but that's the concept. I'll do worship God and believe God so long I have a comfortable life and all my relative friends, they have a comfortable life. Then we all together will worship God. This is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. In true sense, what we learn from Harinam Chintamani, that in the essence, we have a fundamental identity, servant of Krishna, who we are actually. But unfortunately, we also have a functional identity. I am a lady, I am an American, I am a man, I am business, I am a whatever, all this. So we have to, and we relate with functional identity more time than fundamental. But the original beginning of the session, we started that fundamental identity has to be where? Who can tell me? Mother Shreya Kari Radha. Shreya Kari Devidasi. Fundamental identity should be always where in your life? You are a Mataji, I'm sure you are probably mother or a wife. Those are functional identity. Where your fundamental identity plays?
It should be in your heart.
Little more to the point, to practically.
Fundamental ID should be for the servant of the Lord, and it should always be in your heart, because if it doesn't be there, your functional ID will take over.
Okay, very good. Now let me ask you a question. You have to go to get vaccine for COVID-19. I'm not promoting this. I'm just giving you an example. Where this fundamental identity and functional identity plays here in that conception, the idea.
I think the fundamental will be that, I have to get vaccine, because if I don't get the vaccine, I will not be protected. And the fundamental idea is, I don't want to take the vaccine because I think God will protect me, and I'm not taking it, period, unless it's recommended, unless they say I have to.
Okay. So fundamental identity is that you are a servant of Krishna. Krishna will protect you, as you described. Very nice. But functional identity, where does it play? Is it placed separately from fundamental identity, or it is in collaboration, or it's under? How it works? What is the prime focus, in other words?
The functional ID, I think it's separated from the functional ID, the fundamental ID, because
that is true. But what is the prime focus in that relation? That your service to Krishna has to remain intact.
Yes.
Whether you take vaccine or not vaccine, that's functional body, that is separate. But fundamental identity, that by taking vaccine, if you can serve better, you will do it. By taking it, if it is less, you will not do it. So the point is that fundamental identity has to be focused always. Functional identity should work under fundamental identity. Your chanting, your serving to Krishna remain intact. That's the first and foremost. Whether you live in America or India, or whether you are fasting or eating too much, it all depends on your main fundamental, that Arjuna, to please Krishna, whether he fights or not, that is not a main point. Everybody understand? The whole idea was Arjuna had a bewilderment. I need to kill the aggressor. I need to protect my family. But then he found the aggressors are the family, his grandfather, his guru. Then he's bewildered. Oh, what should I do? I should kill the aggressor as a Kshatriya. But I'm also family man, Kaurava, Pandava. I should protect my grandfather, guru, all this. Then Krishna intervened. He says, you are neither. You're not a family man. You're not a Kshatriya. You're a soul whose main duty is to serve the super soul. So always that principle should place in our life. My main service is to remember Krishna and serve him. Whether I take vaccine or not vaccine, that's individual choice. It has nothing to do with serving Krishna. But it is to do with the serving Krishna. Why? But our focus is not whether to take vaccine or not take vaccine. Any way I can serve Krishna better, you just adapt. Is that clear, Mother Shreya Kari Devidas?
Yes, Prabhu, that's very clear.
Okay, thank you. Please go ahead.
Where did I stop now? Oh. Vasudev then followed up this Bhakti Yoga by observing himself in an easy meditation on Godhead. Easy is used here to show that devotion to Krishna is most innate in the Jiva Atma, because it is an inherent and eternal religion of the Jiva. It is called the easy universal religion of every Jiva. Its workings develop in the following manner. When the Jivas come to realize that the path of karma does not give them eternal good, whether it be the 18 inferior karma yoga or the 8 subtle processes of yajna, neither can ever lead them to the highest goal, service to Krishna, which is their soul's religion, or again, when they are fully convinced that there is not the least chance to attain perpetual happiness by mundane wisdom or limited knowledge that aims at the spiritual kingdom, both gained by endeavor of the subtle frame of mind, ego, etc. Finding no shore to catch, they thus, by the grace of sadhus and the spiritual preceptors, cry out to Krishna for the deepest recesses of their heart. O Krishna, O you deliverer of the fallen, although I am your eternal servant, I am falling into the deep abyss of the world, and am badly dashed from one shore to the other by its drowning waves of troubles and tribulations. Take me up, my Lord, to the shade of the cool dust of your lotus feet. Oh, have mercy on this wretched self. Then the all-merciful Lord lovingly takes all jiva up to his feet. When with sincere thrills of joy and tears trickling down their cheeks, they constantly chant, hear and remember the name of Krishna, they gradually reach the stage of bhava. Appearing in their heart, Krishna erases all stain from their mind. Having thus cleansed their heart graciously, he blesses them with his own prema. Extreme humbleness and utter devotion are necessary to call Krishna to the heart. Then, when earthly knowledge, reasoning, and striving are completely burned to ashes, the soul's eye can perceive Bhagwan and his associated counterparts. If after discarding the company of asat fellows, those who are attracted to the fair sex and those who are non-devotees of Krishna, one embraces the company of the good or sat, before long he attains form faith, and then through the stages of nishta, etc., reaches the ladder of bhava. Those whose hearts are crooked will beyond any doubt stumble downwards to hell. The fortunate ones who earnestly long to ascend the terrace of prema do sincerely and incessantly chant the name of Krishna in the company of sadhus. They do not have appetite for any other feature of devotion. When in a short time, by the grace of the holy name, the heart becomes closely attentive, the fruits of religious forbearance, control over sensual appetites, religious observances, withholding the breath by the way of religious austerity, abstract religious contemplation, steady abstraction of the mind, and the indifference to external impressions are very easily gained without paying the least heed to any of these. The holy name alone is a complete suspension of the fleeting mental operations. The more the heart is transparent, the more the diverse pastimes of the spiritual kingdom play in it. The flow of the milk of his happiness is so very fast running that no other means can give even the smallest drop of it. The jivas should desire no other wealth than this grace of Krishna. The holy name is spiritual. Wisdom, vows, meditation, abnegation, mental quietness, virtue, contrivance, none of these can ever equal the name. Know it for certain that the holy name is the highest salvation. The holy name is the highest end. The holy name is the noblest and the final beatitude. The holy name is existing eternally, the holy name alone is the supermost devotion. The holy name is the highest intellect. The holy name is the topmost pretty, and the holy name is the brightest remembrance. The holy name is the seed. The holy name is the fruit to the jivas. The holy name is their Lord, and the holy name alone is the supermost object of their worship. The holy name is their preceptor. The Vedas have described the spirituality of the name of Krishna to be the highest truth. O Lord, we have reasonably judged your name to be higher than the highest, and so we chant your holy name. Nama Bhajana is not bound by any rule. The holy name is beyond all virtuous act. He is spiritual. He is virility and lust person. All the Vedas have been manifested from this holy name. The holy name is bliss. The holy name is Ananda. We can excellently be devoted to him. The holy name is worship and is to be worshipped. Your feet are to be held in the veneration. Repeatedly, we fall prostrated at your lotus feet and anoint our bodies with the pollen thereof. In order to lead the soul to its highest stage, the devotees mutually discuss the holy name and sing his glories. They believe your name to be Chaitanya in person and always sing and hear Kirtana, which is identical with your name. They are purified by it. The holy name alone is Sat, or ever existing. The essence of the Vedas is the holy name, who is the absolute truth and whose form is Sat Chit Ananda. Sat ever existing, Chit knowing, and Ananda all bliss. O Vishnu, it is only by the grace of your name that we are capable of offering these hymns to you. So we should adore and pray to your holy name alone. In his own 8 glorious precepts, Sriman Mahaprabhu has spoken of the glories of the holy name. He has also given a glimpse of the gradual steps of Nama Bhajana. In those 8 precepts, his sloka, beginning with "Consider yourself humbler than the grass," hints at how one to adore the holy name after avoiding the 10 offenses. His sloka, "Followers of money I want not," speak of this selfishness of Nama Bhajana is a devotional spirit, devotion unactuated by any lustful motive. The sloka, "O son of Nanda, tell us how to make a plaintive report to the Lord." The last 2 sloka describe the process of Raja Bhajana, where one loves Krishna to serve him either in Sambhoga, that's union, or in Ripalamba Rasa, deeper union in separation, or in both after being completely and spontaneously attained to Srimati Radha. The Shastra has eulogized so highly and so often the glories of the holy name that the number is legion. To describe them is to write a big volume like the Sri Hari Bhakti Vilasa. So we hardly have any more space in the small volume to discuss them at length. Thus, stopping here with the glories of the holy name, we attempt a very short survey of the process of Nama Bhajana. Devotees who are desirous of ascending the terrace of Prema should remember a few points even before entering the field of Nama Bhajana. Firstly, they should know for certain that the form of Krishna names, or the form of the service of Krishna, and the form of Krishna servants are eternally free, eternally spiritual. Krishna, his abode, and parphernalias are all spiritual and beyond the grasp of Maya, the illusory energy. No mundane consideration exists in seva or service. The seat, room, garden, forest, Jamuna river, and every other thing of Krishna are spiritual and hence untouchable by matter. They are further aware of the fact that this belief is not a blind worldly faith. it is absolutely true and eternal. The exact forms of all these do not in truth manifest on this earth. Such ideas may perpetually reign in the pure heart of pure devotees. Here, the fruits of all these spiritual practices is self-realization. Those who have realized the form of Krishna as well as their own self do before long attain Vashtu Siddhi, enter the eternal pastimes of Krishna in the spiritual kingdom, and gain personal service of Krishna. Here in this world, devotees can only get a glimpse of those immaterial things. The first stage is freedom from the bondage of Maya. The climax is prema.
Very good. You can stop there, and next will be Mother Kara. Now, if I address you all as a human instead of calling name, next human being, is that okay, or personal name is important? Can somebody explain what will be the difference?
Don't feel that connect until you call by name.
I'm calling you by human being. You have a human body, right?
Yes.
So I'm just calling next human being. Is that okay, or is not? What is the missing?
We don't know whom we are identifying, because there are a lot of human beings in this class. Who is the person whom you wanted to ask is not identified. By the name, the identification is connected.
More personal, more feeling proper. Similarly, when you say God or Allah or some concept of even Krishna's name, the idea of God is not actually indicating a Krishna, the sweet Lord of your heart. It's just addressing like a human. Oh God, okay, he's God, but he has unlimited form. But the relationship, just like Hanumanji says, because Dasharas is the beginning of reciprocation. He says, Srinate Janaki Nate Ubhayastu Paramatmane Tathapi Sarvasya Mama Rama Kamala Lochana. He says, Srinate Janaki Nate. I know Srinath means Lakshmi Devi and her husband, Nath Narayan. I know that Paramatma, Super Soul, Supreme Lord, Vishnu Tattva, they are all manifestations, same God. My Ram is my Ram. I cannot think anybody else. Can you see? This is called a personal name, personal relationship, personal. Until you come to that point, the real devotional life does not begin. The chanting has to have some attachment, some feeling for a person you call him. Just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he wrote, and Parvat Maharaj used to live nearby. And he was thinking middle of the night, why this Kedarnath Datta, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's legal name was Kedarnath Datta. I mean, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is also legal name. His previous name in the school, he was a high-ranked Indian officer in the judicial department. And he was wondering why middle of the night he's calling this person. This is the second night, third night. Why not? And he's calling so loudly. So in India, the houses are not exactly like the West. Their insulation system is different. You could hear through the thatched wall every secret discussion of husband and wife, because they don't have insulation system like in the West they have, they have all this ducting system, drywall, they have like a whole layer of things for the insulation. So Parvat Maharaj went there and he put his ear and he saw he's calling. After 5 minutes, he said, oh, he's calling the name of God. But the way he's calling is like calling someone, some person. Just like if I say Satyadevata Prabhu, immediately your ear say, okay, he's calling my name. So there is some connection. The way Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to chant, he's calling out. And Parvat Maharaj, the neighbor, he thought in the middle of the night, why he did that yesterday, also today, what's going on with him? So he wanted to check without asking him, hidingly. And he did. And he saw that Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to call Krishna like this every night for hours, many hours. That's how he chanted his name. So he's suggesting us, you should call God with a feeling that you have a relationship with him. You have a particular, very specific relationship. This is what Hanumanji also addressed the same thing. He said, I understand all the Supreme Brahman has many names, but my Ram is my Ram. I cannot think anybody else. Because he has a deep relationship with the Lord Ram. Even Lord Krishna took the form of Ram when Hanuman was coming to visit in Dwarka. So all these stories we hear, we have to also start building with some feeling. Start. If you did not start, start from today. You have to have a particular form of the Lord that you are attached. Do not look for external beauty. When you look at the deity, the conception behind the deity is actually will manifest the deity as Satchidananda, not the marble or wood form. As I mentioned other day, that they are self-manifested, just like a sun. When sun, I don't know if you ever heard that beautiful pastime of Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur. He says, even in America, in the West, anyway, I don't want to go in a big story about the Hershey chocolate. They were showing documents many years back that how they take those African children, they're like kind of too poor, so they sell their children to this factory labor camp or something. And they live in a dungeon. Only time they come out to work and nothing else. And they get their food and sleep their whole life almost. So of course it's not there anymore. They just literally tormented that. Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur gave a story of some people who used to live in a dungeon. They said, you know, this child is born in the dungeon and he never saw the sun. So when he became a young little boy, so one of the superintendents says, I'll show you the sun. He said, really? He said, yes, it's so bright and so big. He said, okay, I have a big candle. I can bring the big candle to see it. He said, no, you don't understand. You don't see the sun with your light. So how are you going to see it? Here we don't see anything in dungeon without light. And bigger the light you have, bigger the perception is more clear. But the superintendent is trying to convince the young boy, no, the sun is a self-manifested. What do you mean self-manifested? You mean you will put it like a big bulb or something in your eye, or like you will be seeing the bigger? He said, no, I have nothing to do. You really don't have to do anything. The sun will show you that I am here. But how are you going to see? He said, with your eyes. But with my eye, I don't see here without light. It was almost impossible. Because we think everything we are seeing it. We are creating the vision, subjective perception. But holy name is emphasizing that it's descending from the spiritual world as an subjective. The holy name will appear in front of you and become visible. Then you will be able to see the Krishna himself. You will be able to see your own Swarup. That conception we should have always. Otherwise, we will be mistaking. Okay, we're going to read one more page and then we'll stop for till Friday.
The realization of truths that are beyond the grasp of matter is called Sarupa Siddhi. This is true knowledge of the relationship between Krishna and the jivas. And when this is acquired, the endeavor for prema as a means and prema as an object of pursuit are gained. The spiritual region of Krishna, his spiritual name, his divine attributes, and spiritual pastimes, all of these being the necessary object of pursuit, come under prema. This is delineated in the Prana Upshad. The holy name has been accepted in all respects to be an incarnation of Krishna on this earth. Although he seems to be just a word, still by his unimaginable powers, he is spiritual and in a special incarnation of Krishna. As Krishna and his name are identical, Krishna has descended to the earth as a holy name. So Krishna's name is the first introduction to Krishna. With determination to reach Krishna, jivas must first accept the name of Krishna. In attempting to determine the significance and origin of Harinama, the Sri Gopala Guru Goswami, the dearest disciple of Sri Shrupa Damodar Goswami, writes, "Blessed are they, no doubt, who utter Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare." Even with indifference, this verse was culled from the Agni Purana. Those who chant the holy name are free from every spot of sin. Brahmana Parama. These utterings of Hare Krishna coming out from the lips of Sri Chaitanya inundated the whole world with the flood of prema. Glory be to the holy name by his will. Hence, Srimad Mahaprabhu, as mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and the Chaitanya Bhagavata, himself sang and taught the jivas to count these 16 names of 32 syllables on Tulsi beads. Sri Gopala Guru Goswami explains these 16 names in the following way. At the utterance of Hari, all the sins are washed from the heart of the wicked, as the flame will burn the finger even through unconsciously thrust into fire. Similarly, even the very casually pronounced holy name will burn every bit of sin within you. After that holy name of the Lord manifests the absolute truth, whose form is Siddhi Ananda. It destroys Vidya or illusion, and it works. All this is the work of Harinama, or as he takes off the threefold pangs of miseries, distress, and afflictions. He is therefore called Hari, literally to steal away, or Hari is so called because he drives out all the threefold distress of every animate and inanimate being, or because the mind of the 14 worlds is charmed by hearing and singing the spiritual attributes of Hari, or as he, by his exceeding beauty before the loveliness and the beauty of thousands of cupids, which cause these to hide their faces in shame. He also fascinates all men in incarnations, hence he is called Hari, which in the vocative case is pronounced Hare. Or again, according to the views of the Brahma Samahita, she who fascinates the mind of Hari by her prema swarupa, attachments and love, is Hara. Or in the other words, Srimat Radhika, the daughter of Vasabhanu, the vocative case of Hara is Hare. The meaning of Krishna, according to the views of Agama, is that this Krishna, who is Ananda, is in form and attracts every object, is Parabrahma. Krishna, when in the vocative case, is also Krishna. The Agma says, "O godless, all guilt and sinful motives vanish from the heart at the very sound of Ra, and the door in the form of Ma is attached to it in order to shut out those evils and prevent them from re-entering the heart." These together give us Rama. The Puranas have further said that Krishna, who is clever, cleverer than the cleverest, more witty than the greatest wit, who is the presiding deity of all spiritual pastimes, and who is eternally engaged in spiritual dalliance with Sri Radha, is termed as Rama. Devotees who thirst for prema and who are on the way to it chant and realize this holy name of Hare Krishna by counting on beads. While chanting and remembering the name, they incessantly remember his spiritual characteristics by explaining to the mind the meanings of the holy name. In this way, their heart is very soon freed from the every spot and becomes pure and stainless. And with the morning twilight of the holy name, as the heart is purified by constant remembrance, the holy name dawns to the horizon of the transparent heart with full shining rays. Those who have accepted the holy name are either self-realized devotees or are still trotting onwards to self-realization. Of these, the latter class of devotees are divided according to their early and advanced stages. Besides these, devotees who are eternally free no longer confuse the soul for the body and never identify themselves with the body or mind. In the early stage, the devotee begins to chant the name in a fixed number, and as they gradually increase their countings, they come to a stage when their tongue does not stop for a moment from singing the holy name. Although devotees in their first stage have no taste for the holy name because their tongues are chlorella stricken by Advaita Daya, still a patient
Avidya. Ignorance.
Vida. Still, a patient and continuous utterance of the name proves to be the only remedy. Later, they will feel uneasy if stopped from singing the name. A constant and regardful chanting produces a supreme liking for him.
Okay, we'll stop here and then we'll start from zeal and earnestness on Friday. So Friday will be the last explanation on this session. And next week, when you are coming, preparing yourself, I want you to really meditate on what you're going to present. Is not the idea to show that you understood that chapter only. Is that try to present it in a service attitude, that you're serving the Lord who wanted this to be distributed. And with that service attitude, you pray to Guru and Krishna and give the key points that others in that audience can take it with them whole life. With that compassionate mood you present. If you want, you can send me on a WhatsApp. These are the key points on this chapter I found. I can check if you want whether I can help you to add or I can take it out. Maybe this is not important. But average, you get 5 minutes to 10 minutes, not more, not less. 5 minutes, because some chapters are not that much, but some chapter has very important things. So 5 to 10 minutes is chapter. But main focus is again how we will be benefited. Mahaprabhu, actually this is Mahaprabhu giving it through Haridas Thakur. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur saw this and he put this compiled for us. So with that mood, that how it will benefit others and by pleasing Mahaprabhu, with that service attitude and compassion, that I want to be instrument to serve them. You please present. That will be next Monday. So Friday, we'll finish the reading and then we'll have a question answer if there is some, we clarified more. Is that okay? Everybody got the idea?
Yes,
And everybody is assigned already with a particular chapter. I'm sure Mother Kara did that, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So prepare with that. I'm very excited to hear also because I want to get benefited my heart, my consciousness. This is something, I'm serious. This is something you keep it whole life until it completely captured by your heart. But heart will not capture. I'm not talking about physical heart. Heart will not capture unless it's guided by intelligence. And if the heart is captured, touched by the mind without intelligence intervene, it will disappear after a week. Oh, what is Satyadevata Prabhu said something about Krishna's supremacy and then his energy on the first chapter. Now I forgot, I don't even remember anything. So how to retain this? You have to capture it with intelligence. Consciously, you have to accept. And if you keep it by the guard of the mind, mind will cheat you. You'll forget. I'm serious. This happened to me a lot. But by Krishna's mercy, some or other, I'm hanging in there trying to serve with all your mercy. So we'll meet you on Monday. Oh no, Friday, this Friday. Anyone has any reflection or any? No? Okay. Please accept my humble obeisances. Bancha kalpa taruvesya kipa sindhavaya Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Anantagadi Vaishnavindaki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.